Hello and welcome to the Album Man, and it's time for CDs and vinyl I bought recently in December 2013. This is the last one for 2013, and it is also the 2-year anniversary of this series, as I did first do it in December of 2011, and the amount of CDs and vinyl I've accumulated in that time is quite extraordinary, really. I mean, yeah. And the background music playing today, usually it's psychedelia, but I thought today we'd have, one of the things I picked up, but this is Amoebix's Sonic Mass. I'm just gonna adjust the volume a bit. Okay. So, this is probably going to be one of the biggest episodes ever of this. There's just an amazing amount of stuff. And all of it really cool. Okay, so let us first start, unless I drop everything on the floor, with, now this is really cool. So one of my viewers, Matthew Phillips, who designed my logos, he sent me these two CDs, Rush's Caress of Steel and Slash's Made in Stoke, recorded in 2011 live album with, of course, Miles Kennedy on vocals and supporting the Slash self-titled album. So yeah, I mean, big thank you for that. These are two awesome albums. I think Rush Caress of Steel is criminally underrated. I mean, Bastille Day, such a great little opener, and then The Fountain of Lamneth. I love that song. I mean, I just think it's a 20-minute epic. I just think it's absolutely fantastic. And then the Necromancer before. I mean, I don't quite know why this album doesn't get as much attention as the stuff like, you know, Farewell to Kings and Hemispheres and 2112, you know, etc. I don't know. And Made in Stoke, this is just such a great live album. I mean, I've been wanting this for a long, long time, and particularly Miles's versions of stuff like Civil War and Rocket Cream, you know, of course the GNR songs, and Night Train's really good. And I certainly think he does the Stone Temple Pilots stuff, like Sliver, better than Scott Weiland, but I hate Scott Weiland, so there you go. But yeah, thank you very, very much, Matthew Phillips, for those. Appreciate it a lot. Now, when I went to Budapest on holiday in December, and I found this awesome, awesome little record shop called CD Pints. And yeah, it's honestly one of the best record shops I've ever been to in my entire life, really. Just full of CDs, great prices. So I picked up quite a bit of stuff. The first design I got from another record shop in Budapest was this. This was a bit of a disappointment, actually. The Anatomy of Melancholy by Paradise Lost. Now, that sounds awesome. And live, Paradise Lost album, awesome. Unfortunately, I bought the version that was just DVD only. I'm not someone who really often watches DVD performances. It's not something that I'm big into. I would have preferred to have just had this on CD, so I could, you know, listen to it on my phone and on my hi-fi. But yeah, so it's a good live album. I have watched it. It's good, but I made a mistake. I didn't realise it was just a DVD version. My bad, honestly. Anyway, from the CD Pints shop. So, and these are all pretty damn cheap as well. So, Queensryche's a double live Evolution, and this was 1,990 of the Hungarian currency. It sounds a lot, but you know, it's not. And yeah, this was a really interesting live album, actually, because it really just features such a wide range of their careers. So this was released in 2001. It has it just has it has most of Operation Mindcrime live, a lot of Empire live, some Warning and Rage stuff, and also some more modern QT stuff. And yeah, so it's a very interesting album, and I like it quite a bit, actually. You know, before Queensryche went sour. So a bit of thrash, Overkill, Devil by the Tail. I've been meaning to get some Overkill for a while. What particularly appealed to me about this album was the fact that not only does it seem to have a studio version, which, I don't know, it seems to be called Killbox 13. I don't know much about Overkill, so I don't know if the album's called Devil by the Tail or the Killbox 13. And then it also has a live CD, which seems to be maybe just like a best of Overkill live, which is really cool. So it seems a decent place to start. Again, you know, pretty cheap. These are under a fiver, you know, a few quid. Now, this was an absolute bargain for what it is, especially how much it is on Amazon here in the UK. Merciful Fate's The Beginning, and I might think, oh, what's particularly rare about that? Well, this is the remaster, not just any normal remaster, no. This one is the Gold Remaster. These things, I always think, sound so awesome. I have two of them. Well, this is my third now. I have Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run. That's actually quite an expensive one nowadays. Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell, which is probably the cheapest of the Gold Remasters. And then this is about 15-20 quid on Amazon. I picked this up for £3-4. So, yeah, I've been meaning to get to Merciful Fate. Haven't listened to it yet, honestly. But looking forward to hearing this, definitely. I hear it's a classic album. And, yeah, I like King Diamond. He's got an interesting voice. And the music stopped playing. Bloody internet connection. Who knows if you can even hear it, but anyway. Right, this is one that actually my dad bought, but where he realised he already had the album. But yeah, I'm pleased to have it. Certainly Asia's Phoenix. I love Asia. I mean, the self-titled album, one of the great debuts and great rock albums. And I loved XXX. This is the first, I believe, maybe first, or it could be the second of their sort of Reformation period stuff. So yeah, this will be pretty awesome, I'm sure. Though I'm not doubt as good as XXX. That album's just a monster. And also Cult of Luna's first album, I believe the first album, self-titled album. I think it's their first. Yeah, so this will be cool because I've been getting into Cult of Luna. Okay, so now we are on to. Okay, well actually, yeah, okay, we'll go on to the vinyls next, actually. So, some of the vinyls, Motorhead's Overkill. Now this is a really cool one. I mean, this is their second studio album, and this has classic songs such as Overkill, Stay Clean, Capricorn, and Metropolis as the particularly standout tracks. But this album, really, it doesn't have a weak track. This is Motorhead at their peak, at their best, and it sounds great on vinyl. Then, what would one of these videos be without a little bit of Bob Dylan? We have Bob Dylan's Desire. This was the album following Blood on the Tracks and was released in 1975. So Blood on the Tracks really where he found his form again after, I'd say, losing his way in the late 60s, early 70s. I'm not a big fan of type stuff like the Nashville Skylines and New Morning and Self Portrait, and it's okay. And the music started again, which is cool. But yeah, this of course has a Hurricane, but I think the most underrated track, Joey. The first track on side 2, it's like a 11-minute just epic Bob Dylan story. Oh my god, if you don't know the track Joey, really do check it out. I think it's often overshadowed by Hurricane, and I may prefer it, I'm not sure. A bit more classic metal, Judas Priest, classic live album, Unleashed in the East. As you can probably guess, this was recorded, well, I think in Japan. I assume it was recorded in Japan. But yeah, this is from, what year is this? 1979, so just before their British Steel album. And this has great stuff, Victim of Changes, Running Wild, their cover of Peter Green's The Green Man Alicia with the Two-Prong Crown. The other amazing cover, Diamonds and Rust by Joan Baez, is actually written about Bob Dylan. I believe, I think it's sure a couple of songs like asking Bob Dylan to like turn to politics. I believe that was one of them. And here's a classic. See if you can recognise the cover, of course. Iron Maiden's Number of the Beast. This is a really cool album to have on vinyl. Of course, sad that Clive Bear, died, of course, 2013. But this album, one of the greatest metal albums of all time, without a shadow of a doubt. It's pretty hard to deny how great this album is, and on vinyl it's nice to have it, but it was pretty cheap, and I'm certainly going to put it on my wall. I really wanted it, say on my wall, it's cool. Right, now into the main lot of CDs, and this is pretty damn epic. So we'll start with the coolest thing, honestly. The ZZ Top Complete Studio Albums 1970 to 1990 box set. this is just amazing value for what it is. And yeah, I mean, it contains roughly 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 studio albums. And one of the most interesting things, so the albums it contains, just a brief run through: ZZ Top's First, Rio Grande Mud, Tres Hombre, Fandango, Teya, Di Grello, El Loco, Eliminator, Afterburner, and Recycler. So that's what it contains. And the most interesting thing to me about this is, well, none of these albums are very difficult to get hold of. What is good versions of a couple of them. Well, the remasters of Eliminators, really nice, of Tres Hombres, of Fandango. What isn't is the remasters of ZZ Top's First, or just the CD version of ZZ Top's First, and particularly Rio Grande Mud. The thing about Rio Grande Mud, the current CD version, is that, well, my two favourite songs on the album, Francine and Just Got Paid, two classic ZZ Top songs. No joke, on the CD version, they actually cut the songs. Like, it's about, I think, about 20 seconds shorter on Just Got Paid and about 30 seconds shorter on Francine than the original vinyl release. And I've done comparisons, yeah, they cut out a pretty sweet guitar solo by Billy Gibbons on Just Got Paid, and I can't remember what it was on Francine. It could be maybe, I can't exactly remember. But it was pretty good parts of the song, and it's like, it just annoyed the hell out of me. I just refused to listen to the album, honestly. But here, what they've done is they've now newly remastered Rio Grande Mud and the first album, and in the original way. So the songs are just as they were, but nice and remastered. It's amazing. If you're a ZZ Top fan, this box set really is a must-own. It's fantastic. I love it. And just to show, the albums come in what you'd expect, these type of sleeves. And even there's the odd gatefold, like Teya, which has a nice gatefold to the band members. So, all in all, extremely, extremely cool box set. Okay, now we have, yes, let's get into something new, something 2013, Motorhead Aftershock. Yeah, I've already talked about this album in my top 50 albums of the year and talked about it in a lot of depth, but yeah, songs like Lost Woman Blues, Who and the Damned, Heartbreaker, Dust and Glass are probably the best on the album. I think it's fantastic, not quite as good as The World Is Yours, a bit bluesier, but great album, no doubt about that. Catatonia's Dead End Kings. I've been into Catatonia recently, particularly with their album Last Third Deal Gone Down, so I was interested to hear what their latest offering sounded like, and especially as it was released on the same record label as Anathema, I thought that maybe it might be taking some interesting proggy elements. So far I've only listened to this once, and I wasn't blown away like I was when I heard Last Third Deal Gone Down. It was good stuff, nice atmospheric metal, but it didn't click first time. Obviously I'm going to be giving it some more listens, but I don't know. I'll be reviewing it before if Catatonia's new, maybe a new album might come out this year, I don't know, but I would like to review this eventually, and I'll give full opinions then. This is an interesting album that you might not expect I would own, but Winter Sun's Time One. Now, Winter Sun are one of those very few death metal-y bands that I actually like. I've had some people categorise these as melodic death metal. I wouldn't quite say that far. Maybe on their first album they might have done. This is their second. But I don't know, because there aren't huge amounts of death metal elements in this, really. I would say there's definitely some folk metal, there's some progressive metal, particularly in Sons of Winter and Stars. But just every track really strong. There are those heavier death metal moments, but the growls come in, it feels natural. They don't feel forced, like, oh, let's growl to be aggressive and for the sake of it. No, it adds to the atmosphere. It's quite an atmospheric album. It combines also power metal. I'd say there's definitely some power metal in there, some of the choruses. It's an odd blend of a few different genres, but it really works. I'm looking forward to Time 2 coming out later this year, hopefully. Okay, what's playing in the background? Amoebic's Sonic Mass. Now, this album I can't recommend enough. Truly, it is one of the most underappreciated metal albums I've ever heard in my life. Now, Amoebic's, a brief little history, they formed in the late 70s as part of the punk movement. They were in fact one of the founders of the crust punk subgenre, and have been quite influential on numerous punk thrash bands and punk, sort of later new wave punk bands. But then they disappeared after 2 albums in the one late 70s, one in the early 80s. And then they came back in 2011 with a metal album. But yet it still has some of that aggression that their older punk sound offered. And this album, just type in on YouTube, Knights of the Black Sun. Knights of the Black Sun by Amebix. Amebix, Amebix. Please do, because it is becoming one of my favourite songs just of all time. It is some of the most atmospheric, some of the biggest crescendo in metal. Just starts off beautifully and then just absolutely soars to that part. In fact, I'm going to play it on the background, so you probably won't hear it that clearly, but when it eventually loads as well. But yeah, listen to Knights of the Black Sun. Seriously, if you don't know this band, if you don't know this album, and you like metal, you like a bit of punk, then you are seriously missing out. And also the song Days as well. Oh wow, just an amazing album. Woods of Ypres for Green album. So I really got into Woods of Ypres with their 5th album, Grey Skies and Electric Light. And, well, been wanted to hear. It's the first track I ever heard of them was I Was Buried in Mount Pleasant Cemetery, which is on this album. And this really, I mean, you can tell this is, they're moving away from that black metal sound, becoming more of that black and doom. And while this isn't as good as Woods 5, it's not far off, honestly. It is a wonderful album its own way. I've only listened to it once so far. I've got a lot of albums here to listen to, but yeah, this is going to be in constant rotation for a long time to come, I can definitely say. I just adore Woods of TheAIbumMan. Also, Woods 3 seems to be being reissued in the UK this year, so pumped about that. Now that will be easy to get hold of, because you just cannot get hold of it over here. God, this video is going to go on for a while. I'll be quick about some of these maybe. Opeth's Still Life, what more to say? It's bloody still life. It's a fantastic progressive death metal album. It's a classic, one of Opeth's best. Not as good as Blackwater Park in my opinion, not as good as Ghost Reveries, but maybe my 3rd favourite Opeth album at this stage, maybe? I don't know. I just love everything so far, really. Though I think Heritage is probably the weakest. Faith Divides Us, Death Unites Us by Paradise Lost. I've seriously been getting into Paradise Lost lately. Buying quite a few of their albums, and the title track on here is my favourite of their songs, probably. It's hard to say love the music video, but it's a really powerful music video for it. It's about the whole Fritzl case. And yeah, this is definitely a strong album. This is the sort of return after, because they had those classic albums like the Gothic Times and Gothic and Draconian Times and Icon and stuff, and 1 Second as well, I think. And then they sort of lost their way a bit, even though I quite like that period, I'm just saying how fans, I think Host's a fantastic album actually, but a lot of albums a lot of people don't like the mid-period, and this then they came back with In Requiem, a lot heavier, and then here was a continuation of that, and definitely their best album in the last 5 years. Okay, background music explained, but not the track I wanted. Frameshift's, An Absence of Empathy. So I have both the Frameshift albums, I completed their discography, yay, and this is really cool. So this is the project by Henning Pauli, and this features Sebastian Bach on vocals, the of course notorious Skid Row singer, and apparently he fell out with Henning Pauli, and, well, in fact refused to promote the album whatsoever, and there's quite a lot of bitterness between them. So it's why this album's quite obscure. You're certainly never going to hear Sebastian Bach ever talk about this album, but it's really good. It's a very interesting, extremely dark concept album with seeming themes of rape and murder and just absolute violence, and I don't know the exact concept. I really need to read up on it. But very interesting album, and especially as I believe the drums are all like sort of electronic programs. They actually sound really quite realistic. Yeah, definitely an interesting album to check out if you like sort of more progressive metal. Okay, 2 albums I'm so pleased to get for. These albums were under $5 together, and considering the Amazon value, that's pretty awesome. So firstly, Isis's Oceanic, which retail on Amazon is about $10. And again, both of these cost under $5 together. And then Isis's Panopticon, which last time I checked was £30, not including delivery on Amazon. And Panopticon is, wow, so let's just talk a bit about ISIS. ISIS are a post-metal band, and they are my favourite post-metal band that I have listened to so far. Of course, I'm very new to the genre. It's only literally since late November I've been listening to post-metal. But in that time, I've been listening to quite a bit, bands like ISIS, Neurosis, of course, Pelican, who I'm not too big on, Math of the Architect, The Ocean, I think, post-metal, Cult of Luna. So, bands like that. And ISIS are definitely my favourite, and this album being my favourite so far, I just think this is an absolute masterpiece. I wish it was easier for people to get, because, everyone should hear this. If you really hate, harsher vocals, maybe not. And some of the vocals are more in the background here. It is quite odd, there's a lot of vocals you don't understand here, but it's just the immense atmosphere, the power of this album and of the songs on here is just immense. They create such a tense atmosphere, especially, I love the song particularly in Fiction. That's the song I'd recommend checking out. Then Oceanic, I literally haven't got around to yet. Pretty much next on my list of things to listen to, so listen to that in the coming days, but seriously, love ISIS. Okay, Courier's and Cambria's Year of the Black Rainbow. I haven't had this yet, but this is a special edition which comes with a core DVD with a documentary on it. And this often gets mixed reviews. This is often considered their weakest album, so be interesting to see if I agree. They're a band I would like to do a discography for at one point, actually. I nearly have all their albums. I think I just need Afterman, Ascension now, and I have them all. Testament, New Order, thrash metal album by Testament, late 80s. I literally need to listen to it, honestly, but I always hear a lot of good things about this. It's not remastered, I don't think, unfortunately, and like a lot of late 80s thrash albums, it probably sound ropey as hell, like Anthrax's Worship Music version that I have, but I'm sure it'll be a great album. I like Testament a lot. Yeah, trying to go a bit quicker through some of these. Dream Theater's first album with the vocalist Chris Dominici, and the best song on it has to be Itsy Jam, how you say that. It's not one of my favourite Dream Theater albums, but it's decent, it's an interesting one. But the best thing about me now owning this is that now, at long last, I have on CD every single Dream Theater studio album, and yeah, so that is really cool. And I have a lot of the live albums as well. I think I have 4 live albums at this point. Yeah, and also the Change of Seasons EP I have. So yeah, I now have completed, as far as I can say, discography consists of studio albums. I find live albums, it can start getting a bit complex. But to me, I completed Dream Theater's discography, and I'm so happy about that, because they're one of my favourite bands of all time, and I can just listen to all their music, and it's just amazing. Now this is really interesting, because this was very cheap in an HMV sale. AC/DC's Live at the River Plate, only released in 2012, and no joke, this was £2.50 in HMV for a double live, a recent double live AC/DC album, £2.50. I mean, the branch is closing down, so selling some stuff off. It's still £2.50 for this. Seems like a freaking bug. I haven't looked it up what it's still selling for on Amazon. I imagine it's more than £2.50. I imagine this is maybe a £7 album or something. Yeah, I love this. This is just a great live album. I love AC/DC, and this has a nice mixture. The old classic songs, of course. Your Whole Lot of Rosies, For Those About to Highway to Hell, Shoot to Thrill, Back in Black, Hell's Bells, Thunderstruck, all that. But then they play a couple songs of new stuff, the Rock and Roll Train, my favourite from Black Ice, and also Black Ice as well. It's a good live album, really nice production. I enjoy this a lot. This is really good. Is it maybe as good as that AC/DC Live, or if you want Blood, you got it? No, but it's still worth owning if you're an AC/DC fan. Steve Carver's Transition on my top 50. Best song, Right the Wrong, and second best song, Judgment Day, or I'm not sure which order. Great album, 2013 release. If you like AOR, you like melodic rock, you like Toto, check this out. Pink Floyd's Animals. Yeah, I know, I've only just got this album. It's I really should have got this long ago, but there's plenty of classic albums I don't have, just trying to fill the gaps, and this was a gap that needed filling, and I'm pleased, because I might review this one day, but this album, it's amazing. I love Pink Floyd, one of my favourite bands of all time. I mean, trying to pick a best song on here, Dogs or Sheep or Pigs or... Oh my god, and especially I love the source material. Animal Farm, one of my favourite books of all time, a huge Orwell fan. And yes, so to have a Pink Floyd album loosely based on Orwell, yeah, that's just amazing. It really is. Getting close to the end here, I know this is a long one. Anathema's, what's it called? We're Here Because We're Here. And the cool thing about this album cover, you see here, you see this beach? Yeah, you see this beach? You see this Iron Man on the beach? Yeah? Well, this is literally the beach a mile away from where I currently am and where I live. This is Crosby Beach, and this is Anthony Gormley's Iron Men that are there, the claim to fame for Crosby in Liverpool, just outside of Liverpool. So yeah, it's pretty cool to have an album cover with the beach just a mile down the road, you know. That's literally awesome as all hell, because of course Anathema are, a Liverpool band. And this album is amazing. This is the second best album, of course Weather System has been my favourite. I praised the living shit out of that album for the last, since it came out. And this album, Thin Air, probably Anathema's best song. There isn't a weak track on here. It's amazing. I mean, everything is amazing. I mean, I don't just mean everything on the album, I also mean the track, everything, it really is. Yeah, check Anathema out. Seriously, do. Downward Spiral by 9 Inch Nails. Now, when I listened to this previously, I thought this was a pretty cool album. I mean, Hair is one of my favourite songs of all time. I really liked Mr. Self-Destruct, Piggy. Then I listened to this the other day on my hi-fi. Honestly, I really did enjoy it. I'm going to listen to it a few more times, maybe like Kid A or Ground Me. I really, kind of hated parts of this album. Yeah. It was kind of, I've been wanting this album, I've been like, when I got so looking forward to listening to it, so excited, and then it was just like, oh dear, please, I just want this to end. I just want this to end. And it took 70 minutes to end. It was hard work. Yeah, I need to listen to this again, but I'm not in any rush to do so, let's put it that way. I'd rather listen to Camel's Snow Goose, or music inspired by a snow goose. Of course, Snow Goose was a short story written by some author, and maybe I should read the short story one day. But this is one of the greatest instrumental bands of all, instrumental albums, of all time by the Canterbury scene, progressive rock band, in my opinion, is king of the Canterbury scene, Camel. And this was released in 1975, I believe this was their first instrumental album. It's still my favourite of their albums has been Mirage, but this is just such a strong instrumental album. I'm not a massive instrumental album fan, but I love a lot of progressive rock instrumental albums. I mean, I've got Mike Oldfield's Tubular Bells here, the greatest instrumental album of all time, but this is up there. Fantastic concept, executed very, very well. The songs, they're all quite short and snappy. There's no 20-minute epic on it. The longest song is literally 5 minutes, Rie Good Goes to Town, which is also the best song on the album. But I like the way that it's constantly changing pace. It's constantly changing, key and all that type of thing, because each song's so short. And it makes this album really interesting to listen to. And I'm hoping to see it performed in its entirety by Andrew Latimer, who of course has brought back Camel. And yeah, definitely hoping to see that. In fact, I think I have tickets for that even. I need to check. But yeah, that would be awesome. This is an interesting thing. Greenslade's 2 albums, Greenslade and Bedside Man's Extra. Now these are an interesting progressive rock band, as they had 2 keyboardists. Yeah, 2 keyboardists in the same band, and I don't think they had a guitarist. Yeah, so looking forward to doing this. Honestly, I haven't yet, but this is meant to be some classic early 70s prog. They're a little more of an unknown band, but still, it could be pretty interesting. And lastly, and weirdly, we have Greg Lake's Manoeuvres. Now, why would I buy or get a random Greg Lake solo album? Why? I love Emerson, Lake and Palmer, but Greg Lake solo album, really? Because it has Gary Moore on it. Seriously, this is Greg Lake and Gary Moore on the same album. Gary Moore is one of my favourite guitarists of all time. Just one of my favourite blues people of all time. I'm a huge Gary Moore fan and a Greg Lake fan, so how the hell could I resist this? King Crimson and ELP meets Gary Moore's blues and rock, and he's Thin Lizzy Gary Moore. I mean, oh my god. This is going to be interesting. This is either going to be really amazing or it's going to be really shit. There could be a reason why I've never heard anyone talk about this album. I'm just saying. I'll find out soon enough. But yeah, that concludes it. About any time I can wait, just about finished. So yeah, sorry this has been so long, but got a lot of stuff over December. All of it awesome. And I do have a habit of talking too much. So this has been TheAIbumMan. Thanks for watching, comment, subscribe, and as usual, long live rock and roll.